Good evening, my wonderful friends. Now we are talking about communicating in difficult situations. This one is a tricky subject. Now, unless you're a born diplomat and do not want wars in your meeting rooms, unless you don't want fights in your meeting rooms, you need to know this. You need to understand what is subconscious patterns. And this is based on a little bit of NLP which I studied and taken training courses on, etc., life coaching, etc. So go through this. It's a very deep topic, and if you do not understand something, leave in the comments. I'll try to clarify in the comments, okay? Or I might make another podcast or whatever. Because this is a deep subject. If you have studied a bit of it, yes, you will know. If you haven't, you'll say, this is going over my head. So just have a look and leave your comments if you want me to simplify something or respond to you, okay?
Now this one is communication with cross-communication. Means talking on cross purposes or having disagreements at work, or because of different personality types, you versus the other, whoever it is, maybe friends, family, work, colleagues, are faced with a difficult situation where one seemingly is at cross purposes with another or is not quite able to get on the same plane. Disagreements, arguments, debates happen as a result of this. This is a very complex subject, and it has more to do with understanding your personality first, which I said as before. I'm making an app for it because it is more of a self-responsibility, and one needs to, even when the app is sent out there, it's up to you to take the test and see where you stand at and what's your approach to things, so that only when you know yourself, you can appreciate the other person's perspective also, right? So at the beginning, I didn't want to include these particular set, but I said, okay, whatever knowledge and value it will add, probably it will give you a value of your subconscious patterns and how mismatches can create difficult situations in communication. So we are talking about the last part of communications, difficult situations. So what is cross-communication? Cross-communication in workplace context is defined as speaking at cross purposes. One is speaking about one thing, the other is understanding or listening to a different aspect. Or body language and interpretation resulting from this is either out of context or misunderstanding on behalf of the listener or even the speaker. Because even the speaker is looking at the other person and evaluating them. Humans are constantly evaluating one another. So cross-communications are common. First, as a result of our subconscious patterns. This is where I said make an app for it to understand, for you to understand yourself first. The more you understand yourself, the more you can understand another. This is the beauty of it. An outlook as a result of innate perceptions. Cross-communications are also common as a result of stressing on wrong words, intonation in a sentence during verbal communications. We shall see a bit about this ahead. Cross-communications also result from lack of vocabulary language, which we spoke of in an earlier podcast. Usage of wrong word to express the intent. Cross-communications results from mixing emotional state with official purpose, subjective and objective, which we spoke of earlier again. So let's talk a bit of subconscious patterns. You might not understand this pattern very well, but I'm making an app for it so you can make out all of these things where you fit in and what type you are, or you're even your colleague or your boss or your team leader or other people are around you. So direction towards, away from. Are you is your direction of interpretation going more towards or away from? Attention, is it towards yourself or others usually? Understanding, is your chunk size little or big? Reference, is it internal or external? Action, are you proactive or reactive? Operational style, are you an options person or a procedures person? So without spending, because this is a whole workshop in itself, understanding subconscious patterns, I would rather make it into an app so you can evaluate easily. It's under construction right now. So you and your team leader or your boss says you are towards attention towards others, you understand in big chunk sizes, you're an internal person, you're proactive, and you're options person. Your boss or team leader or colleague or a family member is completely the other one. Okay? Now let's examine the interaction between these two. It's better to use it as a case example because the number of combinations, as you can see, is enormous. So now suppose the boss asked, I need this report by coming Monday. Evaluate this with the subconscious passion. We have assumed, okay, with the case. Given that you're a towards person, your preference is to focus on what others think of you. And you're an options person, so your mind automatically gets to work on all the options you have to get the work done. So that you can please your boss, you can get accolades, praises, goodwill, etc. Maybe even a promotion hidden there. Meanwhile, the boss is thinking of all the things that can go wrong, which have to be taken care of, and he would like to avoid away from person. Because of this, reputation may be on the line, attention to self person, and is more worried about how you're going to get this done, procedure person. Do you realize the degree of cross communications you both could have after the first request? To complicate matters even more, your boss thinks in small steps to accomplish this, little chunk size, while you think in terms of overview, large chunk size, and how it helps in overall project. And you're a self-confident person who relies on your own opinions and abilities, internal reference, while your boss relies on opinions of his boss and manager, external reference person. At the same time, you're a proactive person, your boss is a reactive person. See how this could affect communications at work? So since cross-communication can have a variety of combinations, it is wise for you to make your own summary of subconscious patterns. This will come in the form of an app and a test. You can take it. This is very detailed. It's a questionnaire, basically. An app which gives questionnaires and plots like a chart or a map of what percentage of subconscious are you in different aspects. There's lots of criteria for this. So this is the best way you can understand your own approach, and always understand that no approach is 100% accurate. It's just different perceptions or points of view. Okay, you may be proactive, and you need the reactive person's perceptions also to know the angles you haven't considered in your approach. You consider all options to work, but unless you have detailed it with a procedure, it won't make any success. So make a table of what you and your colleagues have. Well, this is redundant now since I'm making an app out of it. Let's talk about intonations because this is again important. Take the previous example. I need this report done by coming Monday. Spoken with the stress on I. So I need this report coming. If spoken like this, you will probably understand your boss preference to have it by Monday. May not be the project requirement. May not even be necessary for the target. The I stressing certainly gave you that impression. Ego, personal preference perhaps. I need this report done by Monday. Spoken with the stress on need would give a different impression. I need this report coming by Monday. Spoken with the stress on this. See how this changes? I need this report done by coming Monday. May give you that you need to finish it. It's been going on, dragging around for a long time. I need this report done by coming Monday. Stressing on the timeline, deadline. In this simple exercise, you can see how if you stress on certain things, or if your colleague or boss stresses on some particular aspect, you take that stressed aspect into consideration automatically. This is how human beings work with one another. They see very clearly the stress given on a particular intonation while communication. This you need to observe in your daily life also. Being aware of intonations is the others around you all the time. This is important, all the time. In verbal communications, make you a good communicator since you become aware of what they are stressing on. All your further questioning and approaches may depend on that intonation. What further questions would you ask that person and why those in particular? Be aware of your own intonations with you all the time. Whatever you are doing. See, I'm stressing on you here. See? The other person's further questioning may depend on that intonation. Remember, if you're in a group, communications always happen between two people only, never more than two at a time. Unless you're using intuitive awareness, which is, goes in all directions, it's multidimensional. So you get all the energies. If you work at that level, it's a completely different approach. You probably need a different kind of training then. So vocabulary. What other aspect is there? Let us consider the same example. I have explicit instructions to deliver this report by coming Monday. This would convey the instructions are coming out from upper hierarchy, from the top down, yes? I need some vital data regarding forecasts and figures of this report. You can ignore other aspects, but just build a draft copy so we can get this report out by Monday. Conveys clearly what parts of content are important to you. So you are clearly, it's a clarity. Humans always seek clarity from confusion and chaos of their lives. So the clarity will bring about approach and make everything easy. Clarity equals ease. Confusion equals to stress. We need to provide the depth of information which forms a part of this report, so this report becomes critical for them, conveys to whom and why it is needed rather than a blank request. We need to be more and more clear. This is an art. Improving your method and vocabulary request thus makes your intent and reasons behind it more clear, which makes the others tend to cooperate and collaborate with you. Remember, we spoke of cooperation and collaboration in the new paradigms. Take time and study different ways you can increase your vocabulary in communication. Read more fiction books, which typically have a lot of communicative vocabulary in them. Watch English movies and TV series. Observe the nuances of communication within them. They do not have much disagreements or arguments between them, since they focus on what each one wants to convey rather than win an argument or better the other person. It's not a verbal contest. Vocabulary in communication impacts what you desire to convey to the inaccuracy to the other person. It's how much accuracy. There's nothing like perfection. It's the degrees of accuracy we are focusing on here. Cross communications mixing emotions and objectivity. Now this is more common because humans are emotional beings. So you mix objectivity, what is needed, to who is saying it and how it is being said. The same example of the boss wanting the report by Monday. If the boss is making a frown face, displaying irritation and asking you in an irritated voice while making the request, you would be less inclined to speak to an irritated person. You will just shut off. If the boss is making a straight face without displaying emotion while making a request, you may be more inclined to ask questions. So you have, even as you say it, this applies to you, not just your boss also, or anyone for that matter. If you're talking to someone, think about the approach you're going to take beforehand, and what results you desire in the end. So you can be the boss of your own conversations. If the boss made a request with a straight face but is frowning upon the very first question you ask, shows either he does not entertain questions from you, or it may be his mannerism with everyone. If a boss made the request with a straight face but responds emotionally to you rather than objectively, you would not be inclined to pursue any logical approach, but rather shut off your own objectivity for the time being. So you can see this can get very, very complex. In all the above approaches, we have examined different approaches for the same case. We have taken one single case study. This can be many case studies. So you better take that personality test, which I'll release shortly. It may be that your approach is an emotional response of the boss also. Emotional response of the other triggers emotional response from you. To say, keep emotions out and be objective all the time is another naive demand. Not going to happen. You are an emotional person, so is the other one. Just one or two questions from one human to another can trigger the other person in no time. Everybody knows one another's triggers, yes? Because we are all emotional. Better to admit that and learn how to work with it. It's all a good approach to separate emotional talk from objective talk time with your colleagues. You say, I am feeling like this right now, or I feel like talking about such and such. And then when you get objective, you get really objective. Let us discuss work now. Okay? Let's not mix work with emotions. Keep separate times for it so that the other person is also prepared. This is just being kindness to the other person. Now there's a word about culture here. Different cultures around the world where I have worked have got different ways of handling emotional part of being human. Okay, this is different to different cultures. The Indian is definitely not the same as German or American or Japanese. Every culture is evolved differently with regard to handling emotional overlaps of communication. Okay, learn the mechanics of this. This is really complex. Next point about the Indian people, since I'm being an Indian, I can say this more clearly, having lived with them, among them. Indian people culturally often evaluate conversation with an emotional way. They're very emotional people. They evaluate what is being said, how he or she said it, or who he or she you think it is. This tendency often leads to more drama. Indian meeting rooms are filled with drama and heated discussions and arguments about trying to prove who's right, who's wrong. This isn't due to lack of talent or skill. They're very talented and very skilled, but lack of objective evaluation. You need to be objective. Indians need to learn to be objective about what needs to be done and not who's saying it. So this is one very important point for Indian culture there. Learn to separate when a person is speaking more from an emotional zone, at other times from an objective zone. Meet emotional with emotional part, objective with objective part. Mixing up the two could lead to a lot of cross communication. One is addressing emotionally while other is responding objectively. Could appear to be as cold and distant. I just told this other person my whole state and how I feel today, and this person was just talking about reports. You see? So when emotional is being offered, offer your emotion. You're also an emotional being. Doesn't matter how important your precious report is. Humans are complex beings and shift from one state to another quite dynamically, even hourly sometimes. Bear this in mind. This is a deep aspect of communication which happens every day. Friends, family, work, you name it.